Hey guys, what's going on? It's Daniel Strunk from QuickTime Reactions here, and I am actually up in like maybe the central part of my state for some wrestling tonight. I'm actually wearing some Deadlock podcast merchandise. I know it's hard to see. I can't really stand up that much, but here you go, Deadlock merch. And I've also got my Will Ospreay hat on me because I'm going to see Dynamite tonight. And while I was up here, I decided to see a movie that I had some interest in after watching the trailer for it. And that movie is Juror number 2. This movie is directed by Clint Eastwood and stars Nicholas Hoult as a guy who is sent to do jury duty on a murder case that he himself may have played a part in. So, obviously my background on Clint Eastwood films are like a dime a dozen. Like, I know maybe 1 or 2 of his movies that he's directed. Of course, he's a legendary actor, but I couldn't really name you many of his movies. The first one that really got on my radar was Richard Jewell, which came out 2019, I want to say, almost, I think, 5 years ago. And I had a real interest in seeing that because it was based on actual history, and I'm a history nerd, so I'm always going to see movies that are based in history. But I also wanted to see one of Eastwood's films because I've heard that he's a really good director, and I wanted to see that for myself. And this movie is really, really good. It borrows, obviously, since it's in a court case and it deals with jury members, it's obviously going to borrow a lot from 12 Angry Men, which I thought that this movie was going to take a similar approach to, because I guess we don't necessarily start out with the jurors entering the room to discuss the trial. We actually get to see the trial happen, which I think is a very interesting and a unique twist on to like the formula for 12 Angry Men. We hear the trial, we hear all the evidence, and then we just see the jurors convene. And it's clear as the story progresses, like much like in 12 Angry Men, there are reasons why people are wanting to vote the way that they vote. I think one person has 3 kids at home and they just want to go back and be with their kids. Nicholas Holt's character has a wife that's pregnant and is due at any point. Another guy has a daughter. And the most interesting thing about this is when the movie first started, I see a character and I'm like, is that who I think it is? And then it turns out, yes, it is. I don't want to spoil anything about it because I think this should be seen in a theater, but we find out one guy is an ex-detective, and he is trying to solve this on his own. Well, that's obviously not illegal. That's illegal in trial. You can't, research the case on your own outside of the trial room. And so he's taken off the jury, and they bring somebody else in who is a listener of true crime. And so that kind of sways the jury a little bit. I was thinking that this was going to end a certain way. Very similar, of course, to 12 Angry Men, where at the end of 12 Angry Men, the one guy is able to convince the rest of the 11 that the kid is not guilty because of all the evidence that shows up. But in this instance, and this is like probably the only spoiler that I'll give for this movie, because I really do think that this should be checked out in theaters, is that they actually find him guilty. And I was thinking, I was like, wow, like he's just gonna ride off into the sunset, and then it brings it back around. It's thinking all the dust and stuff is gone, but nope. As I absolutely love how the way that this movie ended. It was absolutely awesome. Eastwood's direction is really good. He uses a lot of I don't want to necessarily say match cuts, but we see Nicholas Holt's character at the scene of the crime, and he's looking at out into like the open, I don't want to say the open woods, but like the open area of this restaurant that they're at, and he thinks back to that night. And when they're in the restaurant, he looks at like the bar seats, like the booth seats, and it dissolves to him at that bar, at the booth seat, which I think is absolutely amazing. But yeah, if you have a chance, if this movie's playing near you, I think you should absolutely go and see this. This is absolute must. I'm very fortunate to have seen it. I don't know if this is potentially Eastwood's last film that he ever makes, but I'm very fortunate to have said that, I've seen at least one of Eastwood's many films. If you have any Eastwood films that I should make a reaction to, let me know down in the comments. So, yeah, I will see you guys later on tonight with some wrestling. Catch you guys later.